Hello YouTube, today it is Friday the 28th of July. I'm going to give you a quick video just to update you on what I've done this week, give you some stats and a few thoughts about shippers notes on the CX. So yesterday, Thursday, I had an unexpected day off work. I wasn't completely certain that I would be working today or not, and this morning I was in a position where I could work. So I was looking on the CX for jobs going somewhere where there was a reasonable opportunity to get work back. And I put a couple of bids on, and I ended up getting a job from Peterborough to Castle Donington. On the CX it was 61 miles, and it's for a small wheelbase job. And I put a bid on of £80. I put £80 bid on because I wanted to include at £1 a mile me getting to the pickup point. And I thought if I get £1 a mile there and £1 a mile for the actual journey, then I can't say no to that. I wasn't sure if I'd get it, but obviously it was okay. And the thing that I took was one big pallet. I was thinking about it as I took it, would it fit on a small van? And I think it would. I don't know enough about small vans to know what you can take, but I've been told that you can get normal sized pallets on. The pallet, I didn't measure the pallet, but it took, I would say it's probably bigger than average pallet. It wasn't that high, it was probably about 60 centimetres high, maybe 70. But it almost completely filled my width of my van, so I'd probably guess about 1 metre 20 wide. Let me just double check what my van width is. I should know this off the top of my head. One moment, just get that. I think my van width is 150, but maybe I'm wrong. So I have this written down in a list. My width is 136 is my width, so yeah, 120 is about right, the width. And then lengthwise it was longer than that, so it probably would have been about 2 metres long. So I thought when I took it was on as an SWB, a short wheelbase van, and I wondered if it would be able to take them from a small van, and I think it would. I asked the weight of it, and it was about 200 kilograms, so it wasn't that heavy. So it was quite neatly packed. It was very, very square, very oblong, very nicely packed. So I think it could have been a small van job. And the reason why I'm sort of saying a lot about this is I think that small van work can cater for a lot of stuff that I am finding I'm sending. Obviously, the 2 or more pallets probably can't take, and very heavy stuff you can't take. But I got over £1 a mile, or well over £1 a mile for what I think is probably a small van package. Maybe there's a difference between, maybe it wouldn't fit on an L1 but wouldn't fit on an L2. But anyway, just a question of sort of just reinforcing that because I don't go below £1 a mile, I'm picking up stuff for small. I think it's for small vans at least £1 a mile at times. So it is possible. It is possible. And it's not because I'm anything special. It's not because I've got a particularly high rating or like feedback rating, or I'm in a particularly good area. I think anybody could achieve those rates if they happen to be bidding on the same jobs I was bidding on at the same time. Anyway, so that wasn't my point about this. So that was the first one. Very easy job, 60 miles. So from Peterborough to Castle Donington, 60 miles. And then I was looking for something just to go back home. Oh, that would have been. So I finished that job, got unloaded at 1 o'clock. And I was looking for other jobs, just going back if I could, and I couldn't find anything. I put a couple of things on. I actually did make one mistake. I accidentally deleted a booking. It was going back to home. I probably would have got it in the end. It's not the end of the world, but I know that once you delete, you can't bid on those. Whereas if you save a job, you can go into the save option and then you can bid on them at a later date. So I did make a mistake when deleting it before I bid on. I did get another job, but it was unfortunately taking me in the opposite direction from home. So it was from Colville, which was 20 minutes from me, about 15 or 12 miles from where I was in Castleton, and it's going to Hereford. And the actual mileage on the CX system for that job was 92 miles. It was for a small van, definitely a small van, and I put a bid on £95, and I got it obviously over £1 a mile. I didn't know this at the time, but it was like an emergency delivery that had to be delivered today, ASAP, for like a repair job at this factory. So although I bid originally over £1 a mile, probably could have got more than I even bid for that one. They were really keen to get it delivered today. But that's fair. I thought a fair price. £95 was a fair price. And so I've just delivered that. I'm now just basically driving home. I've decided not to worry about the dead miles. I'll be back about 9 o'clock-ish if all goes well. I'll have had an okay day, but it's not really about today. Everything I've earned today is just bonus money. I never thought I wasn't planning to work today, so I regard it as being anything over a zero as net earnings is better than I was going to get. So I'll give you some figures for today, and then we'll give you figures for the week. So for today, by the time I get home, I will have worked for 11.25 hours. I left the house this morning at 10 o'clock, and I will have done 344 miles, 344. Basically, half of that is dead miles. Effectively, just under half is dead miles. My current fuel cost is 14.16 pence. That means that my fuel costs for today are £48.70. My earnings today are a total of £175, that's the £80 job from this morning, the £95 job from this afternoon, and that means that after fuel costs I've earned £126 today, which, as I said, is £126 more than I thought I was going to earn. Now, I'm not going to worry about doing the average hourly cost for each day. It's so variable, it's kind of pointless. But I will do that for the week. I think it's much more valuable. So for the last time, to indicate why it's quite so pointless, I'll tell you what my average hourly rate was today. It's £4.12 after business costs. So looking at this week, I've ranged as an average after business costs per hourly rate from £4.12, which is the lowest today, up to £32.67, which was for Wednesdays. But they're both misleading, really, so I'm not going to do that for each day anymore. Okay, let's move to my weekly summary, which I think is probably the most valuable thing I can do for someone who's new. Is if you look at nothing else but my weekly figures, then you've got a good idea about how I'm progressing and how this job pays. So this week I've worked for 4 days. I've done a total in that time of 1,235 miles, 1235. I've worked for a total of 47 hours, and my gross earnings before any sort of cost taken off are £1,365. My total fuel costs for this week, excluding VAT, are £174.84, and therefore my net earnings after fuel for the week are 1,190. My pence per mile rate I earned this week is the highest it's ever been. So last 2 weeks ago was the lowest, this week is the highest. It's £96.37 per mile. So I don't think I'm going to beat that for a long time. And I'll tell you right at the end of this why I think I've had a good week. This is probably the most important figure. My average earnings after fuel this week per day it worked is £297.54. 297.54. The average number. Oh yeah, and then my average hourly rate after my £80 of business costs per day taken off my net figure is £18.51 an hour. I think that the reason why I had a pretty good week is that on Monday and Tuesday I had some very long days, and I managed to pretty much pick up all of my predetermined routes for the week in those 2 days, and that meant that I got by the morning of Wednesday morning, when I dropped off the last of them, I had earned a significant amount of money in a very short period of time. That wasn't all CX work, but it was mostly, it was 3 routes that were non-CX and the rest were CX jobs. And that meant that on Wednesday I could do a couple of little bits and pieces just to get home. Had Thursday off, and today was just a bonus day just to earn a bit of extra money. So really the key to this week was the Monday and Tuesday. And I can't necessarily replicate that every week. It just so happened I didn't have to pick up as much as I thought I was going to pick up. I was able to fit in 2 routes in one day. I can't usually do that. I don't usually have the space to do it in my van. I was able to do very late night on Monday and Tuesday. After my London experiment on Tuesday, I did the pickup in London. So lots of things went my way this week on Monday and Tuesday. And I was very tired by Wednesday, but that was why it worked. So I took advantage of it, had a day off as well, but it still made good money. Okay, moving on to a little bit I want to talk about at the end of the video, but before I do that, I want to acknowledge I have got 2 more subscribers from last time I was at the video. I've got 105 people now that subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much to those 2 extra, that's 48 hours. I'm going to have a short bit of talk about one thing that I look for, I suppose, when I'm bidding on jobs, and it's to do with the information that a shipper provides on a CX booking. And when I'm looking at bidding on a job, it can be really helpful. I like it when the shipper provides quite a lot of detailed information, and I feel when that happens I have confidence that the shipper knows what I'm doing for them and has high standards. So to be fair, the stricter the instructions within reason, the better. I had a couple of examples today where the drop-off I had to one of my stops had an address but no name, and so when I got to the address there was no name to say it's for this person. So I had to call the shipper because they didn't know the name either. If they'd known it, they would have put it on the system. So they had to then write an email to the customer to say it's at this particular location, because I left it at the security gate because it was after hours. And obviously the security gate didn't know who to give it to because there was no name on the package. So in that case it wasn't the fault of the shipper, it was just that that information wasn't available at the time of the booking. But obviously as a driver you want to know ideally the name of the person that's going to be picking up your item or items, and the address that they're going to be at, and the time they want it, and instructions to get to their place. and all the stuff that as a career you need to know, just basic stuff: location, time, and person. And as a shipper, if they can put on their accurate details for location, time, and person, both for pick up and drop off, makes your life as a driver really easy. And when that doesn't happen, you've got to sort of put a bit extra effort in, or you've got to rely on other people to sort of know what's happening. And then rules like, you must strap the load down, you must take a picture. I love that when I see that on there, because I think, good. Everyone should do that anyway. Obviously, you've experienced of people who haven't done that, and then you're covering yourself by saying that's what you expect. I mean, putting instructions like that, which are, in my view, just standard stuff that everyone should be doing, I think reflects on their experience of poor drivers in the past. And I think, well, you therefore appreciate good drivers. So I think they want that sort of service. By putting in the notes, it makes me realise that we all realise they appreciate it. And what I don't like is just really scant details and no notes. So when you're bidding and there's no notes at all, you don't know if you're handballing, you don't know how big the item is, or you know what the item is. It's for a van size. So it's for a small medium-based van, or a large wheelbase van, or a small van, or a car. And sometimes you want to know, well, is it a pallet? Is it 2 pallets? Is it loose? Is it is it long? What are the dimensions? So when a shipper puts the dimensions on, I love that. Obviously, it has to be accurate, but it shows that they've gone to the effort to find out what the dimensions are and put it on the system. So there's two points here I want to make. It's those shippers that don't bother to find out the dimensions. I think that's not necessarily very helpful. And those that do find out but don't put it on in the notes, I think you've statistically it's bad. You may be thinking you're a good shipper by finding out the dimensions, but if you don't tell the driver, it doesn't really help us. And I think I'm guessing that the shipper doesn't put details on for one of 2 reasons. It's either incompetence or lack of knowledge. Incompetence, that they've got staff that don't do it because they don't know how to, or they don't think it's important, in which case that could be corrected with training or with a bit of feedback. Or it could be that they don't know because they haven't asked the customer, or the customer hasn't told them. And I'm probably, as a driver, not that accepting of either answer. And obviously life is full of grey, and I think all shippers will have different approaches to how they want to work and different kind of customers. So you cannot generalise about these things. But there will be some shippers, just like there are drivers, who don't treat this like a business. So I know there are drivers out there who don't fully take account of their business costs and will undercost a job because they don't really know what they need to get for a job. I know the drivers out here who do who break the law because they don't know about the law. They've got no idea what to do about the job, and they're not willing to learn. I know the drivers out here who do things wrong because they do it on purpose, because they just can't be bothered, don't care. And obviously there are drivers who are the opposite of that, who do always follow the rules. There are great drivers who are very professional. But in my mind, there are also shippers who have on the same spectrum. There are some shippers who are really professional, really a pleasure to work for, who know what they're doing, who've got lots of experience in the job and know it from both sides, from a shipper and a driver's point of view. They know what a driver needs, they know what they expect, and they communicate that. And there are also shippers who have undersold their services to their customers. So they've gone out and got work from customers, and they've probably been desperate enough to try and get work, but maybe got it at a price that doesn't fulfill their own business needs. And so maybe these shippers who are kind of at the moment surviving because they can get cheap bids from drivers, but maybe in the long term they won't survive because they haven't worked out their business costs. And as a driver, we've got to get our business costs right for ourselves and charge the shipper the right amount. There's lots of talk about that. But I see less talk about shippers having to judge their business costs and charge their customers the right amount to do that. And I think there are situations where a direct shipper gets a business from a customer and is so desperate not to lose that they won't even question anything the customer gives them. Even to the point at which they won't even question the load they're taking for the customer. That I think some shippers will be, in inverted commas, scared to check with their customer what they're taking in case the customer kicks off and says, well, just do what I say, otherwise you won't get my business. Now, I've had no direct knowledge of this. I'm implying this from my knowledge of business and people. But I think that there will be some shippers out there who don't give us the information we need to do our job properly because they don't want to upset, in inverted commas, their customer. And I think that's not good enough. Be professional, be polite, but find out what we're taking. Find out if it's ADR. Find out if it's fragile. Find out the actual address it's going to, the person it's going to. Find out the dimensions. Find out the weight. Please give us the information we need to put in proper quotes, because otherwise it makes it hard for everyone down the chain. Okay. I wanted to say that it's not having Go Shippers as a course. It's about using my experiences to just say we can work together on this, and drivers can do better at times, but so can shippers. And I just want to reiterate, in my experience, most of the shippers I come across are brilliant. It's a pleasure to work for them. I have no issues with them. And it's not just the ones I work with regularly, even ones I work with once or twice. Most shippers are really good. But you then, when you come across the ones that are not so good, you do notice it. And I think if I've got used to a certain standard of shipper, certain standard of communication, and when I see it in the bids, I smile and I love bidding for that work. And when I don't see it, I put a bit on with trepidation and hope that, although I've got the information I need, the person at the other end is going to be, amenable to either finding it out or telling me if I ask. Okay, I think I'm going to stop there. I've done everything I want to do today. Have a lovely weekend. I will probably not get a chance on Sunday to do my weigh-in video because I'm going to have company, so I'll do that on Monday morning. I can give you a bit of a trailer, a bit of a heads up for Sunday's weigh-in. It ain't going to be good. Oh, I've not had a good week. I'm not looking forward to it, but I'm going to be honest. I'm going to tell you what I've done wrong, and it's part of the whole point of having the video series there. But this week is going to be a bit of a, hopefully an off week, and then Sunday back on with a smile in my eyes and a spring in my step with a new week up from Sunday onwards. I've got today and tomorrow to finish off all the stuff I bought from the shops. Okay. I'm going to say actually, fuck it. Oh, sorry, I don't like swearing. I love you. Enjoy your weekend. See you next week. Oh yeah, what have you learned today?